this is Lotus and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue on with our read-along of Erha. Let's jump right in. Chapter 158, Shizun at the Wedding Reception. When major sects held weddings, the celebrations lasted for 3 days. The first day was the welcoming reception, a dinner to welcome the faraway guests, taking place the night before the wedding ceremony. However, the highlight of the evening wasn't to be found at the dinner tables, but at the hunting grounds. Based on customs, before the sun set that evening, a highly respected elder would release 3 spirit deer with red silk tied to their antlers into the forest enclosure. Then, the groom's father would personally select 22 unmarried men and women to chase down the deer into the grounds. If a guest managed to hunt down one of the 3 spirit deer, then they could win 1,000,000 gold as their prize. At the end of the day, this was a gimmicky game that only filthy rich sects like Rufeng sect and Guyue could play. Gazing downwards from within Shile Hall, set high above with its verdant tiled roof and raised eaves, the forest of the nearby hunting grounds was visible, surrounded in the lingering brilliance of the setting sun. Guests arrived one after the other, congratulating Nangong Liu and presenting their gifts. Nangong Liu politely returned the gesture regardless of the guest's status, inviting them to enter their seats, and he busied about for an hour before everyone was finally seated. The evening banquet official began speaking, echoed by the ringing of chimes from the entertainment division. "I wonder who sect leader will pick from amongst the guests to go chase the deers in the grounds. Wasn't it going to be a lottery? I must say, everyone picked are the real lucky ones. Think about it, 1,000,000 gold for hunting down a spirit deer, and those who don't succeed can still catch other spirit beasts within the woods or pick immortal fruits. What could be better in this world?" Amidst the lively talk, the hall door suddenly opened. Nan Gongzi and Song Chu Tong walked up the platform in unison, the man handsome and the woman beautiful, gold and red interlacing as the two came before the sect leader, hand in hand. Nan Gong Liu rose to his feet and nodded, smiling as he said, voice carrying, "My esteemed guests, it is truly the greatest of fortunes that all of you could come from your respective major cultivation clans all over the world to attend my son's wedding day, despite your busy schedules." The guests below applauded enthusiastically. "Sect leader is too courteous! The young Gongzi and young madam are a match made in heaven, truly a rare perfect couple." Indeed, indeed. The praise was practically the same as what his supporters had sung during his wedding in the previous life, and Moran was quite sick of listening to them. His eyes subconsciously searched between the crowds, and very quickly found Ye Wangxi, seated next to Elder Shuanglin. Ye Wangxi's eyes were lowered, still in that simple attire, and he only minded his own meal, never looking up to glance in Nan Gongzi's direction. Whether it was his expression or action, both were as normal as could be, more tranquil than normal even. Perhaps it was because life had always been hard for people like him, that they were keenly aware of just how powerless they were to fight fate. Moran watched him and suddenly remembered how, when he was little, he had really loved this pagoda lantern that had been sold in the night markets. The lantern had been exquisitely crafted, with the outline of every raised roof eave drawn in detail, but the old craftsman had set a high price, and so while the lantern was well made, it never sold. Of course, Moran couldn't afford it either, but he'd run to that stall to watch it almost every night when the night market opened. The lights of the pagoda had streamed in, solemn in its resplendence, illuminating the dark black eyes of the child. Until one day, a young couple dressed in the finest satin silk came. That woman had taken a fancy to the pagoda lantern at first glance, and all it took was some cute whining about how she liked it for the man next to her to take out his money to buy it. And so the pagoda was sold. Moran had watched, head raised, as the old craftmaker took it down from its wooden shelf where it had stood for a long time, and proffered it with both hands to the woman. In the end, that swinging light had illuminated Moran's longing-filled face before it vanished into the ends of that night market street along with that couple. Moran had felt miserable at that time, but had also been obediently calm. He and the present Ye Wangxi were the same. In truth, the first moment their eyes had landed on the pagoda lantern, they'd known that this luxury was destined to never be theirs to have. In truth, every night as they had been illuminated by the pagoda, they'd already replayed in their minds the thousands of scenarios where this light would be lost. It wasn't because he could let it go that he could feel relieved. It was because he'd known very well how things would end from the very start, so he'd never dared to pick it up. Come! Time to draw the lottery! The lottery! Ru Fengsek's elderly head servant came before Nangong Liu, face full of smiles as he balanced a large three-legged wine vessel carved with interlocking branches out of bronze on the top of his head. Sect leader, the fortuitous hour has arrived. Will sect leader please draw the lottery? Nice, come, draw one, sect leader Nangong. Nangong Liu smiled. Allow me to accept rather than decline. I will draw 22 lots and pray the chosen young heroes grant me the honor of accepting the invitation for this night hunt. Should anyone be unwilling to join, please do let me know beforehand. Thank you, thank you. He waited for a moment. There were girls from several smaller sects whose cultivation was weak, and, possessing little courage, they asked their parents to go forth and have Nangong Liu remove their names from the vessel beforehand. Shu Shuanglin took a glance at Ye Wangxi and asked with a lazy smile, Does Xiao Yezi want to play? If you do, I'll juggle things up for you and open the back door. I'm not going, Ye Wangxi said. Yifu, please tell the sect leader to remove my name as well. How can we have that? There's 1,000,000 gold if you win. Ye Wangxi, ... Shu Shuanglin's character was much more rebellious than his adopted son's, and after a moment of contemplation, the corners of his lips curled with a trace of mischief. If you don't want to, then I'll go. Yifu, you are way past 40 this year. So what? I still look young. Wait till I hunt down all 3 of the deer. We'll have our hands on 3,000,000 gold. We'll incur heaven's wrath if we ignore the chance for easy money. Shu Shuanglin's mind was set, and he didn't notice his adopted son's dismay at all, dragging his shoes as he went up to Nangong Liu, grinning. He whispered in Nangong Liu's ears, and the others only thought he wanted to have Ye Wangxi's lot removed. Yet, who knew he was so in love with money that he himself wanted to go into play? Nangong Liu quickly picked out the guests for the deer hunt. Shen Feng, Lin Sheng, Chu Yan Ran. Meanwhile, Elder Xuan Lin stood next to the sect leader, taking the drawn lots and reading each one out loud in an unhurried manner. Oh, this is pretty amazing. The darling of the heavens, Xue Meng. Soon, 21 people were selected with one last spot remaining. Elder Xuanlin's old face was incredibly thick-skinned, and he raised his hand with a happy grin. The last one is me. I'm a stack of old bones. Please take care of me. Nangong Liu was aware of the temperament of this elder in his own sect, so he didn't stop him, only smiled in resignation as he passed everyone a signal flare. Those who have hunted a deer shall use this signal as proof. 3 flares will mean all 3 deer have been caught, and the hunt will thus end, Nangong Liu said, at which time I will be personally awaiting your return at Shaoyue Track Field. The winner will be granted 1,000,000 gold. The crowd applauded enthusiastically at his words, cheering for their friends. Nangong Liu continued with a smile. In addition, entrusted onto me by my son, there shall be another prize. The first winner shall be awarded 10 Fey Wolves. Blood packs shall be formed and the first winner can take them home. Fey Wolves, such precious spiritual beasts, difficult to find even in black markets, and they were offering 10? The hall was seething with excitement now, and there was one who couldn't resist standing up to holler at their chosen peer. Sishong, it's all on you now. If you get first, I'll brush your boot for a year. The hall erupted in laughter. There was a lady cultivator who refused to lose out, and she shouted, Shiga, leave them in the dust. If you win, I'll agree to dual cultivate with you. Whoa, that's a good one. That's impressive. Ha ha ha, what sect does that spicy Miss Cultivator belong to? For a time, Shilia Hall was enveloped with laughter and cheer, and even those who hadn't been interested in the event before now glowed with anticipation in their eyes, raising their wine glasses as they watched this grand spectacle. Moran left amidst the merriment and said to Chuaning as he parted, Shijun, I'll accompany Xuemeng to the hunting grounds first. Just sit tight and enjoy the feast. Wait for my return. Go on, Chuaning said. Keep an eye on Xuemeng. He's too hot-headed. Okay. Moran descended from the bright, resplendent hall along with the other 20 or so people. Chuaning watched as the fine and beautiful forms of those young men and women disappeared into the vast night, then downed his Nuer Hong wine in one gulp. He felt Sishong Peak would have the funds to pave a world of spiritual stones in the lower cultivation world later. His disciple had his full confidence. 3,000,000 gold was at their fingertips. It was only a blink of an eye after the juniors had entered the forest, before Moran even had the chance to turn around after setting Xuemeng off, that the first bright red flare exploded in the sky. Nangong Liu clicked his tongue in amazement and clapped in awe. Amazing! I haven't even finished this cup of tea, and someone's already hunted down the first deer. I wonder whose disciple it is. Such godly valiance is admirable. Li Wuxin of Bitan Manor was sitting beside Nangong Liu, and he stroked his beard and smiled in those words. If everyone here is in the mood for it, how about we place a bet? Of the 22 talents, in whose hands will the dare die? The prize is 50,000. Shall I provide it to liven things up for sect leader Nangong? The crowd agreed, and so wooden sticks written with the 22 names were placed on the long table, and red fine silk was laid out underneath each. Those who wanted to bet could write their counter amount and signature. Shui Zhengyang turned his head to grumble at Chu Aning. How come Bitan Manor only offered 50,000 as the prize? So little. Could old man Li be poor? Minor gambles add to the cheer. Major gambles cause injuries. Shui Zhengyang chuckled and asked, Why don't we add to the cheer too? Chu Aning shot him a sharp look, but didn't say a word. Hair raised on the back of Shui Zhengyang's neck from the stare, and he cowered back a little, saying, Okay, I know you don't like that stuff, so we'll... What's the point of adding cheer? Yu Hung Elder took out his money pouch and slapped it on the table, declaring expressionlessly, If we're doing this, then we will do it to injure. ... Shui Zhengyang stared at him for a long while, looking like he'd just seen a ghost, before he asked, How much are we betting? 300,000. That much? What if we lose? We won't, Chu Aning said. Didn't you want to pave a road of spiritual stones? Raise the money and you can build a few more in those villages that are particularly heavy with miasma. You're doing this for real? Shui Zhengyang asked. What if Shui Meng loses? He won't lose. You should know your son better than me. ... Seeing Shui Zhengyang was still anxious, Chu Aning said frankly, If we lose, it'll be on me. If we win, it'll go to you. Go on. Names had been added onto the silk continuously, and the small sects that didn't usually gamble itched the more they watched, and in the end couldn't resist spending a small amount to try their luck. Nan Gongzi, watching on, thought it looked fun as well, and was about to rise to join the gamble when Song Chutong stopped him. Lord husband, why are you going too? To win some money and buy you some accessories. Song Chutong fell silent and lowered her beautiful face shyly, a few dark locks falling across her forehead, making her look particularly bashful and lovable. Chu Aning unwittingly glanced their way, but seeing how Sacharin, their newlyweds, were being with each other, he felt awkward and quickly turned his head away, which was how he missed the faint distress on Song Chutong's face. Ooh, why is she distressed? Nan Gongzi picked up the brush with a smile and walked along the long table. Just as he was ready to make his choice and write down his bet, there was suddenly a sharp scream behind him. In a flash of a second, Nan Gongzi reacted as ferociously fast as a wolf, swiftly sidestepping. He swept back and dodged as a white glare brushed past his cheek, driving ruthlessly into the main column of the hall made of golden Phoebe Namnu wood. Dust flew from the impact, and the weapon penetrated a third of the way into the wood. Who goes there? Assassin! Guards, sound the alarm! The sharp sound of whistles immediately filled all 72 of the magnificent mansions, and Shile Hall, which had just been warmed with songs and merriment, was thrown into chaos in an instant, swords brandished everywhere. Who could it be? Did the fake Gochen finally make his appearance? Nan Gongzi's eyes were tempestuous, flashing with the glint of ruthlessness. He briskly wiped a trace of blood off his cheek and strode to the pillar, peering up. The weapon was a regular arrow, but it had pierced so easily, deep into the solid Nanmu wood. The arrow carried a small bamboo tube, and Nan Gongzi retrieved it with a scowl. With his powerful fangs, he ripped open the wax seal, and out from within the tube dropped a letter. Nan Gongzi opened the letter and read the first lines with a stern expression, but his face soon changed drastically, his fingers gripping onto the letter hard. He read the message over and over in disbelief, his entire person shaking imperceptibly, and the tips of his fingers even poked through the letter. Sir, what's wrong? Nan Gongzi looked up, his nose scrunched and his face savage, almost a beastly change. This is rumor-mongering, he said through gritted teeth as he made to destroy the letter. Nan Gongliu was faster, however, and he raised his hand, freezing his son in place with spiritual power. He demanded darkly, What's going on? Give me the letter. No need to see, father. Nothing but an absurd letter. Nan Gongliu didn't listen, however, and waved his hand, directing the men on his left and right to retrieve the letter from the hands of the immobile Nan Gongzi. He took the letter, looked down, and quickly swept his gaze through its contents before shooting Song Chutong a swift look, the color of his face turning ugly in a split second. Before waiting for anyone in the group to respond, he brought the letter to the fire and burnt it to ashes in the blink of an eye. Then he chuckled dryly. My son is right. It really was nothing but absurdity. I wonder who did this, such a low-level joke. Truly. Truly what? A low, hoarse voice suddenly sounded from above the eaves. The colors on everyone's faces changed, and Ye Wangxi pulled his sword out, moving in front of Nan Gongzi to shield him. Qiuaning also got to his feet, staring intently where the voice had come from. It must be known that for Rufang's sect to host such a grand gathering, the disciples responsible for security would be all high-level disciples of the sect. Yet, this person had somehow arrived undetected to the rooftop of Shile Hall, and no one had noticed until he spoke. He was evidently not an ordinary man and could not be underestimated. Sect leader Nangong, I kindly advise you not to let your son marry a promiscuous woman for no reason. Yet not only did you not listen, you claim it was nothing but absurdity. Truly, my eyes are opened. A dark shadow flashed past before the last word was even spoken, and by the time the onlookers could clearly see, the man was already standing in the center of the hall with his hands clasped behind his back, right in the middle of the packed crowd. Ah! Run! The ones closest to the man turned pale with fright and withdrew abruptly, moving back like the tide, clearing the space surrounding him within an instant. The Shishangs were shielding their Shidis and Shimeis, the sect leaders shielding their disciples, the mature shielding the young. The black-clad man wore a bronze mask with savage features and had an ink-black mantle draped around him. He said lightly, "Why run? If I wanted to cause harm, blood would have already flowed inside this hall. Stand where you all of you. Stand where you are, all of you." Is this the fake Go-Chen? Is it finally him? Is he finally here? Mini Theater. Born rebellious. Moran. I hear most aloof shows aren't good at drinking. Qiuaning. Ridiculous. I am unaffected even after 1,000 cups. Moran. I hear most aloof shows aren't good at gambling. Qiuaning. Ridiculous. I win every bet I place. Moran. I hear aloof shows don't care to say I love you to their boyfriends during Lantern Fest. Qiuaning. Ridiculous. Moran. Haha, I knew Shizun is different from those hoes out there. Come, go ahead. I'm listening. He just baited Qiuaning into saying that he loves him. Okay, so to recap chapter 158, the first day of the wedding ceremony has commenced, and they are having a little bit of a deer hunt to start off the festivities. There are 3 deer that are let out, and every deer is worth 1 million gold, and so 22 disciples are chosen to participate, and Shuameng is one of them. As is Shuanglin, Ye Wangshi's Shifu, Yifu, who wanted to participate as well, so he's part of the game. But they send out the disciples to go and hunt, and while they're enjoying the festivities in the hall, someone shoots an arrow at Nan Gongzi with a letter, and inside the letter is a rumor about the promiscuity of Miss Song Shutong. So both Nan Gongzi and Nan Gongliu were gonna brush it off, but then I think the fake Go-Chen just appeared to make his appearance and say, "Ha! I already warned you, but you won't listen. Therefore, I must make myself known and heard." Why would the fake Go-Chen care about Song Shutong's promiscuity? Is he throwing her under the bus? Are they not actually working with each other? What is his plan by showing up in front of all of these cultivators? Is he still trying to steal Moran's wood elemental spiritual core? Let's find out. Chapter 159. Shizun, I'm scared of Tianwen the most. Nan Gongliu appeared calm, but his forehead was already covered with a thin sheen of sweat. He mentally estimated this man's strength and felt his words true, which made him even more alarmed. However, in consideration for the reputation of the world's #1 sect, he had to force himself to ask, "Might I ask who you are? What is your intention in intruding upon the Rufeng sect at night?" "I already said it was to advise you, telling you not to have your son marry someone he shouldn't, that's all." The moment he said this, the guests around couldn't resist stealing glimpses at each other superstitiously. Yet, Ye Wangxi of Rufeng sect having an affair with Song Chutong was already a rumor that had spread throughout the streets. Everyone knew, and the only ones who didn't were probably only Nan Gongzi himself and Nan Gongliu. However, the wedding invitations had already been sent, the marriage certificate signed, so if it was rescinded now, what reputation was there to speak of for Rufeng sect? Nan Gongliu's lips quivered for a moment, then he scoffed coldly. "My son can marry whomever he pleases. There's no need for an outsider to worry on his behalf." The black-clad man laughed. "Such generosity, sect leader, that you do not care whether Song Chutong's heart belongs to the house of Nangong or the house of Ye." Song Chutong was shocked and furious, her face deathly pale and her beautiful eyes wide. She shouted, "Slander!" "What slander? Wouldn't you know best what good deeds you and Ye Wangxi have committed?" Why is the fake Go Chen slandering Ye Wangxi like that? How terrible! He was already terrible, but why you gotta drag Ye Wangxi into this? Ye Wangxi never thought he would be mentioned and froze. He was dumbfounded for a good while before he understood what the black-clad man was saying, but his first reaction wasn't anger, but to laugh in spite of himself. "What nonsense are you spouting?" "I've not spoken nonsense. There is evidence to my words, and I've seen it with my own eyes." The black-clad man spoke. "You rescued Song Chutong from Xuanwan Pavilion, uncaring for the immense cost it took. This is something known to every cultivator in the world. A large sum in exchange for a beauty. Ye Gongzi, what was your intention?" "She was pitiful, and I could not bear to simply watch on. That was all." "Couldn't bear to simply watch on, indeed. You saved her, and so let her go free. Why keep her by your side wherever you go, and bring her back to Rufeng sect with you, taking her in as your personal attendant? Miss Song is a butterfly-bone beauty feast. That is something the world also knows. Should I release her, she will most likely be targeted immediately by the lawless, which was the reason I brought her back to Rufeng sect. It was to provide her with a place to settle down." "A place to settle down, indeed. Ye Gongzi truly is a saint, crossing no lines and committing no offenses, even when accompanied by a peerless beauty, day in and out." The black-clad man was full of taunts, yet Ye Wangxi remained resolute as he said, "My conscience is clear." Although that was what he said, no one believed him. Ordinary people always prefer to measure everyone else's heart with their own yardstick. The majority of this group had come from the upper cultivation world, and had they obtained a butterfly-boned beauty feast, they would have taken all measures possible to keep them at all costs, for dual cultivation purposes, or perhaps to cook it and eat it. So who would believe Ye Wangxi was innocent? Thus, the group exchanged understanding looks with each other, clear contempt creeping into their expressions. Despite the tense situation, it was clear they were deriving voyeuristic pleasure from this. Nan Gongzi said darkly, "I think you are purely looking to start trouble where there is none, taking advantage of this opportunity to smear the name of Rufeng sect. What does it matter to you who I marry? No need to respond. Go the hell back to wherever you came from." "Nan Gongzi, you truly are blind to the kind-hearted." The black-clad man paced, and after making a round inside the hall, he suddenly stopped near Song Chutong. He chuckled at her, then said, "Miss Song, your husband trusts you so blindly. No wonder you can stand here in perfect calm, posing as the young madam of the Rufeng sect." However, Song Chutong was nowhere near as calm as the other two, and she exclaimed nervously, "Do not insult my chastity!" "What chastity is there to speak of between you and Ye Gongzi?" The black-clad man spoke with unhurried conviction. "Soon after you were saved by him, you served him willingly. The two of you rendezvoused in private, believing no one saw. Little did you know, I've always been watching from the shadows. If you didn't want anyone to know, then you shouldn't have acted." Song Chutong abruptly yelled, cutting him off, "Nonsense!" "If I speak nonsense, then why are you trembling?" That's because I'm being wronged. She looked anxiously at Nan Gongzi. "Gongzi." Nan Gongzi returned to her side and moved her behind him, a pair of wolf-like eyes, grave and cold, fixed on the black-clad man. "Stop your slander." "Whether I'm slandering or not, you'll know after I tell you this." The black-clad man smiled. "Nan Gongzi, on the left thigh of this beauty is a red-dotted mole, is that correct?" Nan Gongzi was taken aback at this. "You..." "About the size of a grain of rice, vibrant in color, not dark red, but scarlet. Had I not witnessed her and Ye Gongzi having pleasure in each other's company, how would I know such a detail of her body?" "That..." "Gongzi!" Song Chutong panicked, tugging on Nan Gongzi's sleeve as she said, near tears, That's not true! That's not true! He's wronged me! He must have seen it when I was bathing!" What's there to see about you bathing?" The black-clad man sounded put out as he cut her off. "Better to watch Yu Heng Elder Sisheng Peak bathe and change." Yu Heng Elder being peeped at by a female disciple while bathing was also a story told with delight in the cultivation world. Now that the subject was raised, the crowd found the remainder funny. The more courageous ones stole glances Chuaning's way, only to immediately bow their heads, shaken by the shocking murderous intent written on Chuaning's face. The black-clad man circled around Nan Gongzi and Song Chutong, then clapped and laughed as if something had dawned on him. "Oh, that's right, I suddenly remembered something. When Ye Gongzi bought Miss Song, there was a chastity cinnabar mark on her wrist, personally dotted by Hanlin the sage. If Miss Song truly is as chaste as you say, and I am but besmirching her name, then that bit of cinnabar would still be on her wrist. He paused for a moment, then smiled at Song Chutong, who was ghastly pale and shaking uncontrollably. Miss Song, if you must prove your innocence, why not show your chastity cinnabar for everyone to see? Enlightened, Nan Gongsu turned to console Song Chutong. It's fine, show everyone, you... However, he stopped in his tracks when he saw how Song Chutong's lips had lost color, and she was trembling and white as a sheet. A moment later, he asked, a little confused, What's wrong? Song Chutong let go of Nan Gongsu's hand and stepped back, clutching her sleeves and shaking her head non-stop. Her eyes filled with tears. I can't. Nan Gongsu's eyes widened, as if he knew what was happening but couldn't speak. The black-clad man sneered. What? You don't dare? No, that's not it. I don't understand either. Song Chutong slumped to the ground dejectedly, her tears pouring down like rain in that instant, and she cried mournfully. I don't understand. I don't know either. Please, I beg you, let me off. She gripped her sleeves tightly, refusing to let anyone see, but this desire to cover up was no doubt telling everyone the chastity cinnabar mark was gone, as the black-clad man had claimed. She had been promised to a man as a virgin, yet before the wedding, the red mark on her arm had vanished without a trace. There was no washing herself clean from this. The black-clad man was about to say more, when suddenly a cold and austere voice spoke from not far away. Chuaning stood tall and poised beneath the lamplight. The cinnabar mark on Miss Song's wrist was still there a few days ago, which does not match the date of adultery you're accusing them of. I believe you are intentionally plotting against them. For some reason, the black-clad man appeared to be rendered speechless for the flash of a second. That overbearing aggressive aura of his also seemed to dissolve to nothing as he turned around to face Chuaning. After a moment, the black-clad man heaved a sigh. Some of the nearby onlookers thought perhaps it was their imagination, but there seemed to be almost a sense of indulgence in the voice of the man who had been forcing another into a corner from his flippant accusations. Chu Zhongshe is correct, but I didn't say they were committing adultery before, only that they were having an affair. If we must discuss the exact time before the adultery, then it would be within the past few days. Ye Wangxi muttered, Absolutely ridiculous. Chuaning frowned coldly, exuding a dignified air. Empty words without evidence. Allow me to be the judge of whether you are speaking fact or fiction. You... In between words, a golden light flashed at Chuaning's fingertips. The black-clad man's pupils shrank and he dodged, barely avoiding the holy weapon Tianwen that burst forth menacingly. Chu Zhongshe, what are you doing? The black-clad man was both resigned and amused. He was exceptionally skilled, and Chuaning's willow whip couldn't catch him for the moment, but he didn't parry, letting Chuaning's willow vine chase him all over the venue. The mood that had been tense and strange earlier suddenly became silly. An affectionate indulgence faintly seeped out, once more into his voice. Don't hit me, I haven't finished speaking yet. Chuaning's sword-like brows were deeply furrowed, and he demanded sharply, If you wish to make complaints, why not remove your mask first? If you want me to remove it, I'll remove it for you later, but not now. Why is that? I'm ugly. My appearance might scare people in the light. The black-clad man ran around for a long time, dodging Tianwen, and Chuaning's fierce spiritual energy grew more ferocious with each attack. The man muttered under his breath, This is bad, before turning, dodging behind a wooden column to escape Tianwen's strike, spilling with golden light. He shouted, Ye Wangxi, aren't you a gentleman? Today I'll show the world who you really are. You bought a woman for dual cultivation, forced Song Chutong to serve you, disregarded ethics and violated the wife of your lord. You beast in a man's clothing, you heart of a beast with a man's face. Ye Wangxi was outraged. What nonsense are you spewing? Am I wrong? Shouldn't you know best how Song Chutong's chastity cinnabar faded? The black-clad man accused loudly as he dodged. She knelt before you the day before, telling you she was already Nan Gongsu's fiancé and begged you for mercy, to leave her alone, yet you stubbornly refused to listen. You even said... Ye Wangxi's face was dark with anger, and he gritted his teeth. What else did I say? Keep going. Have you forgotten your own words? Then let me remind you. At the time you said... The black-clad man cleared his throat and changed his tone, imitating Ye Wangxi's manner. Miss Song, I spent a large sum of money, only to have toiled for the benefit of another. Now that you have gained Nan Gongsu's favor, you want to remove yourself from me completely and make a clean break once and for all? You must be dreaming. At the end of that speech, the man even boisterously laughed. Ha ha ha! Thoroughly exhibiting the conduct of a thug. Ye Wangxi... ... Ooh, end of chapter, okay. So there is no author's notes for this chapter, but let me recap really quickly. So in this chapter, in chapter 159, the fake Go-Chen has finally made his appearance, and he decides that he wants to expose Song Chu-tong for having an illicit affair with Ye Wangxi, which everyone there is like, ooh, I heard the rumors, I guess it's true. But Nan Gongsi, Nan Gongliu, and Chu Wanning are all like, no, you are lying. First of all, why are you even here? It's none of your business. Second of all, how could you even prove it? And Song Chu-tong is freaking out, like she's freaking scared, like as if she is hiding a secret. But the black-clad man, aka the fake Go-Chen, is like, well, if you think I'm lying, then let's ask Miss Song Chu-tong here to show her cinnabar mark, her chastity mark. But for some reason, Song Chu-tong is too scared to show the mark, which Chu Wanning had seen a few days ago. Does that mean that the mark is now missing? But is it temporary? Is it really easy to come off? So like, I mean, if it's just a dot of cinnabar, it could probably easily be wiped off. So I don't know if that's really a solid case for saying that she had an affair, but Chu Wanning thinks that she's being unfairly treated, so he steps in and says, I saw it a few days ago, so it doesn't align with the time that you said they had an affair. But the fake Go-Chen is like, well, they were already involved with each other, but they may have actually done the deed just a few days ago before the wedding. And so Chu Wanning has had enough of this guy, and he whips out Tianwen and starts trying to chase him around the hall. Now this guy seems to be really playful towards Chu Wanning. I don't know what his connection is to Chu Wanning. I'm pretty sure this fake Go-Chen is reborn from the past life and probably also is familiar with Chu Wanning from the past life. And they seem to like really like Chu Wanning in a way. Like he's teasing him and acting flirty with him and like deferring to him in a way. Like he doesn't seem to want to harm Chu Wanning. He even was like surprised when Chu Wanning spoke up, and he was like, oh my silly Chu Wanning, how could you speak up like that when I'm talking about this stuff? Oh, you're so funny, just let me finish talking, you know, that type of thing. So this fake Go-Chen definitely has connections to Moran and Chu Wanning from the past life. I wonder who he is. But yeah, Chu Wanning is trying to catch the black-clad man, and the black-clad man, aka the fake Go-Chen, is like, well, I'm gonna let you guys know, I actually saw it for myself, that the two of them were in cahoots and having an affair. And Ye Wangxi actually demanded that Song Chu-tong give herself to him right before the day of the wedding. And Ye Wangxi is like, dude, I never said any of that. So we're gonna have to see what happens in the next read-along, which, by the way, guys, the next read-along will be the final 2 chapters of the fan translation, chapter 160 and 161. That is where the fans' translations has ended, and so that will be our final read-along for Erha. And so I hope you guys are really looking forward to it. Also, as you can see here, Meatbun, the author of Erha, has an Instagram and a Twitter, so please follow her on Instagram and Twitter, right here, as you can see. If you want to see her post little snippets of her current novel, Bing On Bun, and you know, just her posting pictures of like her cat or talking about random stuff. So if you wanna follow her on social media, please do. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's read along, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.